Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'd like anybody, any corrections or additions to the minutes? Where is Roger when we need him? Is Roger here today?
It looks good.
Good,
He's here.
thank you, Roger. I'm gonna get all the participants on here and try to look at everyone. Yep, a gallery view. There you go. There you go. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Way to go. Thank you very much. All right, and on we go. So Steve and Chris, are you on board? I don't see you here. Any either
Steve's
Steve or
here.
Chris?
I'm here. I don't see Chris yet. I actually just sent him an
Okay.
email.
All right. Anything that we should be updated on the Pools Corner?
Pools Corner, 202?
Yeah. The trail feasibility study. I know, there were a couple of recommendations you were going to try to tighten up and then get ready and just
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, so we're actually still pulling together this final report.
Okay.
So we should have an update for you for next week or next month, excuse me, with this report wrapped up. I know that the funder, was it DCNR, DDRPC, was looking for that. And I know there's a reimbursement thing going on between the township and them. So the ball's in our court. We're wrapping things up and we should have a good news for you next month.
Good. Yeah, I'm hoping good things with Pete Buttigieg. I mean, he's really talking it up. So if we can get that, a couple of votes in Congress to get ourselves going here, we might have a shot at getting some money coming in. Okay, so how about Tom, the old new road update?
Tom's not on.
Not on yet.
And
Any
I know
news South, that connection, anything?
nothing new on that from him.
Okay. Well, it definitely, I was around there this weekend. I don't know if anybody, finds themselves over there. And it's amazing to me that we don't have access to CB South with more trails there. That's a huge, it's a huge school, a lot of kids coming in. It's going to be great when we are finally able to do something over there. So we have to continue on with that one. It would be an important piece for us to enjoy. The Chamonix Greenway, Bristol Upstate, that's 100% complete, right, Steve? So
Right.
anything, I mean,
I didn't see any emails floating back and forth about.
nothing to work with this morning, Steve. I need something to work with you.
Sorry. Yeah. I haven't seen any RFIs come in or anything going back and forth between the contractor and our group. So yeah, nothing new to report, unfortunately. I mean, maybe fortunately. Finally, that 99.999 might be filled
Yeah, I know.
to 100.
Maybe something to talk about each time. So now,
Yeah.
Right.
then
Lynn,
Roger,
I have one question there. We had talked
Sure.
about a possible ribbon cutting. That would be a New Britain Township. Is that in process, or do we nothing planned at this time, or?
As far as I know, there is nothing that is planned at the moment. I had heard earlier this year that they had wanted to wait until Coleman property was complete, but
Okay.
I am not sure now that we have our new manager, Matt West, that may change.
Okay.
Shell, I can see Shell.
Yeah,
is
she's
there.
on.
Morning, everybody. Yes, Cynthia, you are correct. As far as, I know it's the same information that you just mentioned.
Okay.
So I can bring it up. We have a township meeting next Monday night. So
I mean,
okay.
it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but I think, certainly having something that you guys worked so hard on that, you need the recognition, the committee, it 5 minutes and, thank yous and all that.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, and
Be
it
nice to get
just
something in
brings
paper.
recognition to the hard work that New Britain Township did and the committee, the support from the committee and everything.
Yeah, I think it's a recognition that this stuff just doesn't happen. And you get a couple of pictures out there and it lets your town know that you're working away. So,
definitely.
yeah, let us know if we can be of any help.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, how about Roger? Let's go to Turk Road, our you're in my dream come true, Turk and Pebble Hill. We'll throw Larry Page in there too. We'll throw his Turk Road in on the mix.
Well, Steve and I have had several discussions, and it kind of looked like it was narrowing down to the best way to go to get on the other side of East Road when you come out of Springs Drive, on that piece of it, to go down east would be right in front of that pond. Mr. Harris has a house there with the pond, 191 East. And
Didn't
so,
he get the one up for sale?
yes.
Okay.
And it, so anyway, long story short, I wrote him a letter on April 22nd and suggested that we'd like to meet with them, with the township people and so forth to discuss further land along that area because we didn't have quite enough right of way. And I never got a reply to it. So I waited a while, and besides, when that letter went out, almost immediately I went by there and I called Stephanie. I said, guess what? We sent the letter out, but now there's a for sale sign on the house. So I didn't hear anything. I saw a sale pending sign, and then it said sold. And so I called the realtor and said, hey, I'm just curious, didn't hear anything. Has this gone on or been discussed, or should we be talking to a new owner? And she said, well, the sale's about to close, and she wasn't aware of it. So I thought, well, that's interesting. I think things have to be disclosed, I guess. So that's where it is right now. The realtor is aware of it as of June 8th. And I don't know anything more from that. And that is kind of a linchpin, I think, to the whole trail to get past that point.
Larry, Roger, I think that sale, when I went by now, something happened with the sale. It's back on the house is back for sale. In fact, a good point was my nephew's bidding on it. So let's hope he gets it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but something happened where the sale fell through.
Jeez. When I had the discussion with the realtor, she wasn't aware of it. And I pointed out, I said, were you aware of, this letter that went out? And she said, oh, I hope it's not a bad thing. I said, no, I think it's a good thing. Because you guys in real estate all love to have the connectability to the trail network. And it even says so in our letter. And so then as I said, I heard no more after that. So I don't know if it came up and that caused a problem. Yeah, I have no idea.
Roger, remind me, how close is the pond to the road? Or how close are we intruding into the pond? Whoever knows that one.
I think probably Steve has a little bit better idea of the measurement on that.
So we're not, Steve, we're not affecting the pond. We don't need to do anything extra, correct?
No, I think the plan is to avoid the pond. So we'd be on the southwest side of East Road until we get past the pond, then cross over.
Ah, great. Okay. Good.
And it's a pretty nice wide stretch there. I mean, that's a huge lawn. So down along the edge of the road, wouldn't impinge on their use of the property or anything. Mm-hmm. Traveling on to the next property, there's a pretty good wide stretch. And just about a year or two ago, they cut down 3 or 4 trees there. So that has been eliminated. There's a fence that might have to, I don't know, Steve would have to see where the right of way is. There's a metal fence that might have to move back slightly. But
weren't we getting a few easement letters out, or am I wrong?
Well,
that's what we sent them. We sent a courtesy sort of introductory letter, which is what we do. We try to find someone in the neighborhood who can reach out directly. Roger's in the neighborhood. He wrote a really nice letter. We put it on the, bike hike letterhead, and we sent it. We want to have that dialogue. We want to reach out and just invite us over. We'll stand out in your driveway and kind of tell you what we want to do, show you our, line on the map kind of thing. And then we can kind of hopefully take it from there. We've really never had to pay for the easements we've obtained. But, as we move forward, we'd like to be able to have that easement in hand and apply for the appropriate grants in the future that would, be able to fund such a project.
How many letters went out?
Just the one.
Well, that kind of seemed like, Steve and I in our discussions, that kind of seemed like the linchpin. If we could get past that point, There's a property beyond that going toward the overpass.
Okay,
And there's two properties. There's one that goes to Halk Road and one to the overpass. They were home free. So there's really only 3 properties along that piece of the road that would affect things.
wow.
So this was kind of the key to it, to get to that point. So
Now, we're not on the pond side. Are you saying we're on the other side?
what we were talking about was coming out of Springs Drive. And
Right.
it stays a few feet along there where there's some riprap or whatever you call the rock thing, because there's some wetlands back in there.
Okay,
So we'd have to go over that, and it gets away from the crest of the hill a little bit, so that anybody coming over that hill is not immediately going to see
yeah, which is dangerous, right?
somebody, so then we cross over, get on that large expanse of grass.
Okay.
We go on down past that property at 191, and there's the property, the next one to it. I guess Steve is traveling up that direction now or something.
Now, Steve,
Yeah, there's the fence.
is your thought that the telephone pole would have to be, we would be parallel to the road, or would we have to move any of the poles?
I think we could go either way. For ease of construction and coordination, if we just stayed behind it, if the property owner was
Yeah,
okay with that, then that would be the path of least resistance. But I think there's room to move those as well if need be. The utility poles.
all right, guys, we have to hope my nephew gets this house.
I'm lobbying for your nephew.
Yeah, I was joking with Roger that when the house went up for sale, that Bike and Hike should have just pooled together a couple dollars and
Right.
bought it to secure the easement. And
Yeah.
Lynn, I think this is just as good.
Yeah,
How many nephews do you have? No.
And can't we
A
get
nephew
those
on every
utility
corner.
poles underground,
That's not
when,
gonna happen.
there you go, Judy, there you go,
under our
Like that.
trail?
yeah.
Eco doesn't like it so much, but I love that idea.
I don't know
How
why,
ugly.
yeah,
I
I
know.
don't know why it wouldn't be better for Pico.
Yeah, they're
And-
always
and-
cutting the trees down and all that nonsense.
Fence, and then a storm hits and,
Job security.
If they put them under our trail, they could get access to them when they need it.
right. Anyway, all right. Okay, so, Roger, let's keep plugging away on that one.
Roger, if you want to do another letter. or-
I can make it work.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I would write it to at this point. That's why I contacted the Realtor.
Mhm.
But you think I should
And if there's
contact her
other-
again and
if
see what the
there's two
status
Other
was?
properties, we might as well reach out to them too.
I'm sorry?
I said, if there's 2 other properties, we might as well reach out to them too.
Okay,
And I mean, the current owner, whoever the current owner is, and it's not something they have to disclose until they actually sign an easement.
mhm,
I learned that from the sewer project.
okay,
You see the Highland Farm right there, the little red dot on there. That, it's dangerous how the bike path comes down a hill and kind of throws you right out on the road, and there's some shrubs there. It, we'll need to figure out something a little safer.
Well, Lynn, that's under land development. They, when they do the improvements there.
Okay,
And so Chris has been working with the engineer. They already have their approvals and everything for the Highland Farm, the Oscar Hammerstein Museum.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, so when Oscar Hammerstein Museum moves forward, there is a correction for Bike and Hike connection across to the farm.
okay. Yeah, it's kind of dangerous.
Improvement.
Spits you out. It's fine if you're going towards town, but it's terrible if you're leaving town. It goes down the hill and kind of spits you out on the road. Yeah,
It's
doesn't-
pretty steep there. It would be
yeah, it doesn't
pretty
look as,
difficult to go along and suddenly turn to go up that hill.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't look as bad there, but it is a little hairy when you're doing it. Okay. Steve, way to go on having these pictures ready and accessible so quickly.
Oh, thanks.
The pandemic has caused some of us to get a little better on our skills here. It's really good.
Yep.
I remember the early days, you were just trying to find a picture.
That's right. That's right.
gotten good. Okay. All right, good. So is Highland Farms, did they get the money? Is that happening, Stephanie?
I believe that the Oscar Hammerstein Museum folks are in the process of fundraising. They do have their plan approval, so they just need to, move forward with their project.
Well, I'm gonna bet money that it is approved. Keith Fenimore, everybody remember Keith, the early days of Keith? He's very active in that. So I bet money on Keith that something will happen there that's gonna be good. It's gonna probably end up being a museum for us, which would be super. Okay, unless anything else, let's head to Shady Retreat. Well, to keep in mind too, always I like to mention about the Pebble Hill section. The Pebble Hill Cross, on, now I'm going to forget the name of the road. Stephanie, help me. Crossing over Pebble Hill Road from the neighborhood.
Or was it
Pebble
Woodview?
Valley.
Valley, yeah,
Yes.
Pebble Valley, yeah.
Pebble Valley.
Pebble Valley, so that we can always keep attention to that, because it would be so nice to be able to cross Pebble Hill safely, and that's a good area to do it. Oh, there we go again. And the bike hike already has access to, if we cross the road, we do own the section, or, have the rights to go across Pebble Hill there.
Yep.
And cut a little bit into Cherry.
What does that stand, Stephanie? The Cherry Lane thing with that?
Farther down.
Pardon me?
Yeah, farther down on Cherry Lane.
It's
Away
like
from,
here. Bro-
They have plan
Oh, yeah,
approval and the development and the agreements are approved. We're just waiting for the developer to, move forward with the project.
now,
Okay.
how far will that go, Stephanie?
It's not very far.
Not very far. It's pretty much the frontage of their property. So end to end on the frontage. So we have the spot coming up along, we have the easement from Pebble Valley on, there. And then there we'll have gaps, and then the developer will put his section in.
Okay, all right, so,
He's along by kind of across the road from where it says Dogwood Lane, right?
Yeah, Marty
Up
Brooks.
to approximately to
Yeah, it's
Springs
the
or
Brooks
most.
track. I believe that's where the Brooks track is, right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna look it up real quick. But yes, Roger, you're
think
right in
either
that
comes-
area.
Just
Either,
about that
I think
area.
either comes to Springs or very close to it.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Oh.
actually it's actually a weird looking property. I'm gonna draw another little shape here, but it's kind of like this, and then it goes back, and then
Yeah.
there's like a little small piece like that,
Mhm.
and I forget what it does
actually
down
goes all
this
the way
way.
to, not Watercrest though. There's, the Watercrest.
Yeah. it does go through to Watercrest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we have like one semi-long stretch and then one tiny stretch, but there's gaps in between, just that developer as well as all the way to Mercer Gate. There's another gap.
Do you recall, is that where there's a hill right there that's, the visibility's bad? Is that on that? Do you recall?
I don't think so.
And Roger, there's like a little,
I'm not sure. You're talking about on Cherry?
yeah. See, I
guess
think you
there's the hill.
sort of see it,
There's-
There's
yeah,
a little bit of a rise as you approach Springs. You can't really
Yeah.
see what's coming at you until you
exactly.
get up. It's not very steep, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
a little rise there.
Yeah, it does block your visibility as a rider though, but, okay, good.
So what's happening with that gap? Anything? Have those neighbors been notified at all?
Well, that's a
No,
good,
because we don't really have a project for that area yet.
I'm just
So-
wondering if we want to try to get easements.
in advance, right? If something comes through that we'd be able to be ready.
If we need easements, yeah, we just have to look to see where we'll need easements.
I
And
mean,
the,
it
and the
might be
Brooks,
good to start investigating that area where the gaps are so that can,
Yeah,
once
yeah,
you get the two pieces, people are going to want to connect it.
I hope, yes. Yeah, that's a good idea, Judy. Doesn't hurt us, right? If we can get an approval.
Mhm.
We have to be ready for Pete Buttigieg. Come on, Pete. We gotta be
Maybe.
prepared, guys. I'm the coach. We have to have our team ready.
Do we, if it's at the federal level, do we want to get a congressman involved?
Well,
You're
nothing's
you're
been-
way too early for that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get we have to get, the senators have to get in line with this infrastructure bill, and
Yeah,
there's a bit to go yet.
okay. Yeah, I don't mean on this particularly, but at some
Yeah.
point, if that becomes a going thing, we could probably get somebody in our
Like
corner.
This property here, the Harvey property there, I mean, it screams, if they're doing it on either side of it, isn't it time to talk to him about, connecting the dots there? Pieces like that seem to be, it's one landowner, it would be fairly simple, and maybe
Right.
the developer would help us with that.
Right.
What's the right of way that's already there? I can't
It's
read
the
the map.
corner.
It doesn't say on this plan. I may be able to dig it up somewhere though.
I wonder if there's
It
enough
just
right of
might
way
be
already.
worth investigating to see
Yeah.
what's involved
So-
in that, and if it's really straightforward, maybe we can talk to the developer about helping us out with that and, connecting the dots.
Right.
At least that piece, it just seems so easy.
Mm-hmm. It's not that long. How far is that from one to the other?
Good
About
question.
200 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
See the mess? Where? Oh, yeah, it was, here, I'll, it was disaster. I can show you. How'd your eye thingy go? I'm a little bit blurry in the left eye.
Like 400 feet and then 50 feet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
the piece,
Says it.
I was just talking about the property between the two.
Right.
It's probably about 200 feet. The Jonathan Harvey's property.
Okay.
Yeah, that right here, 81. That's this one here.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, GIS doesn't look like there's any right of way there, but there's probably some land development plans that I have that I would just have to dig up if we were interested in that property.
Well, wouldn't I agree with
It just
Judy?
seems like a letter to that owner, maybe, and saying we're doing the path on either side of you, and this is where we would like it to go, and if we need an easement, let them know that that's what we're looking to do.
Would this be?
So it's actually, I think we have easements all the way up to 007 here, maybe even 080. I'm not sure if this is part of Mercer Gate or not. Probably not. But
Really?
then Brooks Track comes in and takes 002 and 001. And then we have this gap, and then we have this little section right here. So really, I mean, 081 and maybe 003.
I mean, they're really.
Oh no, sorry, and 080. So this one and this property here look like it might, connect us.
Nice. Steph, do you mind doing a letter to these guys, somewhat the same as we're doing on Turk?
Sure.
We would need 003 as well.
Okay. Steve, just send me the parcels and I'll draft a letter from Lynn.
Okay.
And they've all been part of the public presentations that you
Right.
did pre-COVID in the meeting room.
Mhm.
I think that was 18, when you had everybody, from that area to a meeting. And when you were talking about the Turk Road Trail and everything.
Mhm.
So and of course, a lot of the people came out during the Brooks Track development along there. So they're aware of the potential for the trail and everything. So, and like most of you, they all kind of walk on Cherry Lane. So they were like, oh, okay, we're not really thrilled with the development, but on the other hand, having a trail is a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
And it
Yeah.
just might be the least expensive way to get it done if we're doing it at the same time.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah, it's good to keep everyone aware that we're alive and have potential to hit that road anyway. We don't want to do something that's a couple years down the road and they all say, oh, we never knew about it.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Keep it active. Okay. Good. Good. Well, that would be a great one. I'm sure that would tie in a lot of people. So that's nice. Okay. I don't know. Our Paul Shady Retreats were fine on that, right? Shady Retreats, safe route to school.
Yeah, we
Everything.
received the sign, we have the deeds and the easements from Stonington Farm in hand. And we do have a resident who I've been talking to and Tom's been talking to on Shady Retreat Road. As everyone knows, that comes down from Business 202 along Burpee. We have existing trail and sidewalk along Shady Retreat. Then there's this huge gap as you get closer to Lime Kiln that is just all gravel and people, you know, walking the road. What was really interesting when we were out there last summer, we had sent letters to the property owners, you know, kind of letting them know what we were doing. They had any questions, and that we'd come out and meet with them. And Dave and Tom and Steve and I, you know, met with a couple of the owners that responded to the letter. You know, because one guy has like these huge boulders in the road right away. So they have to be relocated and, you know, everything. And everybody was fine with, you know, what was going on. One of the things we noted was how popular that area is. It's just amazing as to how many people are actually walking along there. And so as everyone knows, the DCNR or DVRPC, the funding agent, wants it to be macadam path. They want it to be continuous. And all of a sudden, the one property owner who has sidewalk in front of his property contacted us just recently and asked, see, that's where it ends.
Yeah.
There's macadam there now, and then it transitions to the sidewalk. And the sidewalk's been there since probably the early 90s. You know, the trail came later. And so he was fine when we talked last year, and we've worked with the arborist to make sure we can protect trees, you know, along there and the roots and all that. And we would widen that out from keep the grass strip and we make that 4 feet. We add about 5 feet to it. So it'll be a 9 foot, 8 to 9 foot path coming through there. And all of a sudden he called up and he said, I want the 9 feet, but I want to keep concrete, which is going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
But, you know, Tom talked to him and Tom thinks it's worth considering. Dave Tomko, our director of operations, is a bit concerned about it, you know, not from a maintenance standpoint, because we, you know, plow the trails and stuff. We always have when and if it snows, you know. But this would, you know, right now people with sidewalks have to, you know, kind of remove snow from their sidewalk. So we're kind of, you know, we're taking, you know, 2 steps forward and, you know, like 1 step backwards here. And we're trying to evaluate, and we have another letter ready to go if we're going to change it over to the concrete. And I just like to get a, you know, feeling from the committee as to, you know, we always try to work with the residents. You know, that's always been our goal. We've always worked with the residents, try to accommodate their requests and everything. And, you know, do we want to continue to go in that vein, or do we want to, you know, sort of stick to our guns and say, no, our paths are macadam and we're going to keep it, we're going to take up the concrete and do the macadam? Because if not, we have to take up the concrete so that you don't have a seam, right, Steve?
Yeah, Yeah.
And you
Right.
gotta put it, you gotta take out the 4 foot wide and put in an 8, 9 foot wide cement concrete sidewalk. So I throw that out there.
Wonder what his reasoning is. Do you happen to know what his belief is? I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
it's
what?
not like, what is his reasoning? His driveway's macadam.
Yeah, I
He
think it was
thinks that-
aesthetics.
Yeah,
I
it's
think he
aesthetics
just
for
likes
him.
the look of it. But if we maybe could, stick to our guns with the macadam, but then say, if you want some buffer plantings or something like that, we could help you out with that.
Oh, we said that already. We said,
We
we'll do the, like we always do. If you want the fence, you want more
Right.
plantings, we'll fix your tree, whatever, that's the easy stuff because, Lynn helps us get that stuff donated a lot. So,
Stephanie-
the buffering's one, it's, I'm fine either way. I just, need a little direction here and I wish Tom were on the phone because he's been, working with the resident and trying to, understand his point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to understand his point of view too, because is it that a portion of his driveway is cement where we could offer to remove all that, make it all macadam? I don't know. I mean, like you say, without talking to Tom, I'm not sure where he's going.
He thinks it makes it look like the macadam makes it look like quote unquote a roadway.
Yeah.
It's that a 9 foot macadam path makes it look more roadway-ish versus walkway-ish, for lack of a better way.
I'm afraid it sets a bad precedent. because,
That's what I'm thinking.
You
You-
know,
you
a lot of
open that
people are
keg.
gonna ask for that, and it is a lot more expensive and it's a lot harder to maintain. I just, I'm thinking
Yeah,
it's just a bad idea.
And it looks hodgepodge.
Judy,
Yeah.
is it something that you think, I'm not Judy, Stephanie, is this something you think we should take a vote on? What's your, I mean,
I think we're getting a sense of, what Judy's comments and yours. I mean,
yeah.
I'm hoping we can, Lynn, if we need to, we'll do another, hopefully he's receptive. We'll do another, meet and greet in the field and kind of talk to him. And Lynn,
Right.
maybe we'll have you come as well.
Right.
We've always been since 1992, we've been extremely successful working with property owners, and just nine times out of 10, they all just want, some buffer plantings,
Yeah.
which we've been able to put as part of the grant, or, you've gotten donated. And so, this is a first, and and like somebody said, hodgepodge, and, sort of the inconsistency and, setting a bad precedent. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, Tom thinks we can kind of make it work. I mean, we still have time on this, but we're getting close to, now that we've got the easements from Stonington Farm signed and in hand,
See where the mailbox is? That's kind of what it's gonna look like, right? Where we add on the
Yep.
other end.
Yep, that would be exactly what it would look like coming across.
So I mean,
it
maybe
does
when
The rest of the 30 miles of trail.
right, so maybe when, unfortunately, when he understands that we're, keeping a theme going here, he might change his mind, or that's gonna be his alternative, right? We don't have
Yeah.
to,
And this is all in road right away. I just want everybody to understand that. This is a newer development, when those houses were built. And so from the center line and, Steve, if you can point, center line over. So, center line over, that is all our road right away. And sort of,
there you go. Okay,
not that
If
they
it's our
quite-
road right of way, does he really have much?
No, he
standing
doesn't.
To
Right.
ask for
Doesn't.
concrete? It's kind of
no, I think,
unreal there.
once he's clear on things, it's been a wonderful discussion.
Yeah.
And we're happy to hear his opinion, but I think that, we have to do what we have to do on that. It's
Yeah,
so
and he knows,
Yeah.
he knows you're meeting I talked to him, I told him you meet the third Tuesday, he's more than welcome to come, I'll give him the Zoom link.
Yeah,
And he didn't reach out for it or anything,
Go with you too
Yeah.
next.
And
meeting.
Tom's been talking to him and trying to cajole, a little bit.
Yeah,
He's just thinking how it's gonna look and, and we haven't heard from anybody else along there, because I think they see it as a positive, and there's a ton of people, you would be surprised. I mean, Chestnut Valley Drive is a loop around, big horseshoe. They were the ones, Country Brook a little further up and that is, thank you, Steve. People walk along there all the time. And, we have like $1 million grant and we have to get across, we have to get across the bridge, and we all know that PennDOT's requirements on the bridge have totally increased. And then you're, come down and you're at it's an amazing loop
It's
and connection.
gonna be amazing.
I mean, it takes you to
People walk
Lenape,
that
takes you to
hospital
Doyle,
loop.
you're connecting to the university on the other side.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're the whole hospital loop into the borough. And you realize when you're out there how unsafe it is on the stretch along Shady Retreat. Thank you, Steve. That is so unsafe along there. And yet when we've been out there, Steve and Dave and I and Tom, I am amazed. We've been out there in the late afternoon. We've been out there in the early morning, and the number of residents from Old Colonial Green, further up along Burpee, and the residents from Shady Retreat and Chestnut Valley that walk along there.
They walk along there I've seen them with baby carriages.
Oh yeah. There's several baby
It's not
carriages.
just.
I'm
it's not just
amazed.
a
I
bicycle.
could not believe, Judy, how many
I
people.
know.
We were out there for like over an hour. I started counting.
Yeah,
That's how many, and we must have seen like 15, 20 people in less than an hour. And I was
well,
like,
they
oh,
take
this
the
trail
they
is
take
so
the queues and
needed.
they do the hospital loop and then they come back, and it's
Yeah.
just a very pleasant, except for that one stretch.
Yeah,
The rest of it is so nice that and some of them use that to go shopping over at the shopping center too. They go all the way.
wow.
It's very convenient.
Yeah,
It's just
good.
kind of hairy along that road.
Yeah.
It goes to show you a little bit of the progress of PennDOT too, because back when 611 was built, Shady Retreat Road went where my line is up here. And it's amazing that they were able to take this community and just bisect it in half and not provide any type of pedestrian access from one side to the other. It just wasn't on their radar.
Mhm.
Well, that was the late 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean Chestnut Grove or Chestnut Valley was probably built like 60s, early 70s. And I believe Old Colonial Green is like mid to late 70s, maybe.
yeah.
I believe something like that.
Okay, so at the time it was probably two big
Westwick was
farmlands.
the mid 70s, 1970s. Let me
Okay.
clarify.
Okay.
Not 1870.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie,
Yes, Roger.
that strip of grass along by the guy with the sidewalk or anywhere along, where we have a strip of grass between the road and the trail. Does it have to be grass, or would that mitigate something if it was low bushes or ground cover or something for that guy that wants the sidewalk?
Well, that's a good idea. I mean, I guess we could use shrubbery. I mean, I wouldn't put trees, but maybe
I think that
shrubbery.
sometimes recognized as more dangerous though, because you're not expecting a kid to jump out from behind it.
Yeah, it would have to be really, really low level because
Something very
you've
low.
got people. That's a good point, Lynn. I mean, I'm not thinking anything high. I mean, it would have to be like 2 feet or something.
Well, or just a ground
Oscar.
cover other than grass. It doesn't have to be cut.
Mhm.
Well, it could
Then
be
he's not
like
mowing it, exactly. Yeah, it gets him out of mowing it.
Pachysandra or hosta, something along those natures. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think, all right, okay, we're ready for that one. That'll be a great, that's the big one this year, so that's gonna be fun. Paul, is Paul on for the Bucks County Trail update?
No, he cannot be here. Neither Larry or Liz were also not available.
Okay. Do you have any update, anything interesting on that?
I don't have anything. I mean, the trail, along their county property, is kind of on hold. They're doing some further studies. So that's kind of where they're at.
They've been asked to do additional environmental studies, and I think that's what they're waiting on.
Right. You don't know, Judy, if they wrote that letter yet, right, Larry? They were all getting together to get a good letter out of support. That's right.
I wrote a letter and it went out, but, I don't think anything's happened beyond that.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait to hear next month.
Okay.
Liz, I don't know if you're on for the pump
No,
track.
Liz is not on. She's out of town.
Okay, but the pump track is still as exciting and great as it was when she originally did it, when we originally did it. So that's really it's a proud thing for me. I'm happy that I was helping Liz with that. The mapping project, go ahead. Come on, give us the news. Stephanie, Judy, I know.
Well, Steve has been very, very slow to respond, so it's very frustrating. He's our cartographer. I think he's very busy with other things that are bigger, and we're kind of on the back burner, but it is moving along slowly but surely. And we had a meeting last night with TAB, and what they would like to do is work with us to help getting photographs that not only that they can use, they want to do filming and photographs for the website and TV programs and all that kind of stuff, but to help us with our mapping program. So, and what we're talking about for the mapping is having still photographs and maybe 15-second little videos of certain segments of the trail with a little bit of a description, and then a link, like for certain areas, to link to landmarks, to link to Parks and Rec, for Central Park and everything else that's going on. So that's the intent of the mapping. And what I did last night is I sent everybody an email that I'm asking everybody to sign up for a section and of the trail, and make a point of writing a very short description about it, and taking some pictures. And the TAB people will work with us. They will pair everybody up with somebody from TAB who has all the photographic equipment we could want, including drones, and there's all kinds of stuff that they can, and they will actually do the filming if they get the direction from each of us. So if everybody takes a little segment, we can get this done. And I'd like to have it done before our next meeting, so that we, can get all these little snippets onto the map.
When you said that, I read that last night. So I was thinking, just for myself, and I don't know if anybody else has seen Judy's letter and thinking about it as well. But I'm thinking to myself, so, I'm counting where I live and what my section would be. But I don't know, how do I describe my section? We don't really have names on our section. So would you say, you'd go from a road, talk about the Turk Road piece to maybe Kids Castle? Is that, I'm just saying this in general.
If you're taking a segment that isn't got a named trail, just say the trail along going from this point to that point. And,
okay, so I would name the road, the 2 coordinates of the road heads where they meet. So Turk Road onto Spring Valley Drive, or whatever that is.
Right.
And I would say the destination is Kids Castle.
Right.
Is that what you say?
If you want to do, yeah, and and then a little bit about what the trail's like. Whether it's a paved trail, it's relatively flat. It's if it's along a road, I would say that. If it's in the woods, I would say that kind of thing, so that people get a little bit of the character of the trail, and then that would be illustrated by the link for the photograph.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow through with this just so we all kind of have our walking orders. So now I know I'm going from, I know what my my trail's gonna be. Now, personally, I'm gonna do, Spring Valley Road, Turk to Kids Castle. And there's two different routes, three different routes that can get me to Kids Castle from Spring Valley Road and Turk. So I'm gonna do those. Who do I contact? What do I do next?
Send that email to me, just fill out this little thing, the name, email address, and section that you're gonna cover. Send
Okay.
that back to me. And then I'm gonna send that over to Tab, and they're gonna assign somebody to work with you, and that person will contact you.
Okay,
And they will, you'll set up a time that works and go out, and they can help film and photograph.
okay, so my responsibility is my only thing at this moment is to make contact with you, who will then set me up with these other guys, and I will write it out and detail what I see, what I know about the trail.
Yeah, and it's just a short little thing because
Yeah.
you can't fit much on the map. But if
Yeah.
everybody takes one little piece or a few little pieces, we can have this done in a month, and that's the goal.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
I just wanted to explain the process so everybody, so we have it kind of easy. It's not hard to do, it's just finding your section, and it could be as much as a half mile, or if your trail happens to be 3 miles, if your destination, say it's behind the development or something where there's really no access points, you're doing a nice run, that, so be it, it doesn't really matter. We're just doing destination, somewhat a destination to destination.
And have fun with it. I think
Yeah.
then you should have gotten, so I'm also liaison for the TAB committee, and that is a pretty incredibly seasoned group of technology gurus and videographers. So I'm pretty excited, and they're excited to work with Bike and Hike. But have fun with it. Like, I always throw like a water and whatever, a snack, and I always have a picnic on this one bench, or it's a good place to stop.
Okay.
I know after that I can go grab an ice cream, make it fun. Think about who your audience is. I think they sent a document to all the chairs, basically outlining all the different ways you can film. We're not expecting you to be at that level, but you might want to just share it. So it gives you some ideas, but make it fun. It'll be also on the app, but also on the, on our website. So, if you were going to plan a trip or do something with your kids for the day, or grandchildren for the day, or your family, oh, that looks like fun. I'll try that,
Yeah, definitely
Judy?
include the kids if you can, or take your dog or whatever. Because
Hey, dog walkers.
it's we want these to be somewhat animated. And while you're at it, working with Tab, they're also going to be taking longer videos that they could tie into their video work that they're doing. And they'll be doing voiceovers, later to describe things a little bit better. So they'll be wanting to pick your brain on that section of the trail and spend some time with them. But these are short, it shouldn't take a long period of time. And then I'm trying to get a deadline so that we can actually get this done and get our mapping to where we want it. And also Tab is trying to update their stuff. They showed us some video that they've done over the years, of the bike and hike trails. And they have this one segment that is just delightful of the pump track with all these kids all over the place on the pump track. And, that's done. That 15-second video is just perfect, to say, this is what a pump track is. And, look how much fun it is. It's really
Judy,
cool.
how big is the scope of this? Are we using the 202 Parkway Trail, Peace Valley,
Yeah.
trails in Chalfont?
What we're doing, I'd like to look at our map, our map, and actually put people's names on segments on the map. And we're talking about Doylestown Borough, so we need to get the borough covered. And we need to cover things like Sharrows, because that's on our map, but we would like to illustrate that with the photograph so people know what
So
that
you're
is.
only doing Doylestown?
Doylestown Township, but we're actually going up to, New Britain is in there because we're doing the Pine Run Reservoir area. everything that's on our map. I don't, Stephanie, can you pull up the map and we'll just
I
take
am
a look
also-
at that?
Hold on.
Would the section that goes through Del Valle College, is that considered a section and then it goes into Doylestown by the hospital, or it goes
Yeah,
up?
can everyone see the screen, my screen? I have the map
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Can you see it, Judy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see, here's the map. It's the current bike hike map, and it's now in a, you know, sort of using the GIS. Steve Spindler's created this trail map in process. And as you see, here's the legend over here on the side, which shows, you know, the trail, nature trails, bike lanes, the sharrows, you know, future trails, trail pictures and things. And so let me say, when I hit a point of interest, and you see what pops up is the pump track and fix-it station. Now, what we want to add there is perhaps a photo and possibly like then a link to a video of what you see. Now, if I come down here, you see this and it's like family ride, you know, this is a picture that Steve had, but you can blow it up then and you see here's coming into Doylestown from Route 202 trail, you know.
Yeah, so we're trying to show the character of each of these segments.
Okay.
And also the tab people, you know, are working on more elaborate videos for TV and for the website. So while they're there, they're going to probably take more film. But the nice thing is they have the videographers or whatever they are, and the talent to actually do a really great job of that and be consistent in our quality. So I think that's going to help us a lot, rather than us taking pictures on our phone and sending them in. You know, if we do it this way, we should have some really nice quality and consistent formats.
Judy,
And-
this adds exponentially to the value of the whole mapping thing. This really explodes it out there and gives access to the links to tons of information.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
It's great. I'd be happy to do the section over around the Fanny Chapman Park, the trails in and out of there, and around Pools Corner, and as it goes up into Doylestown by the school and stuff like that, in that area.
Do me a favor, if everybody could just send me that email back filled out with the sections that they're willing to do,
Mhm.
because I need to pair you up with, you know, the tab people. And I'll follow that up with, you know, this is who you're working with at tab, you know, you two get together and figure out a time. But if everybody could send that email back to me and just let me know what sections you're willing to work on, then I'll know if we have gaps that have to be filled in. But I think it's reasonable for everybody to pick a section or so and we can get this covered. So refer to the map on our website to define those areas that you're willing to work at.
Mhm. Okay.
And I just think we'll have a lot going on. And the whole idea is this is not a map for the serious cyclists that are, you know, going from here to Washington, DC. This is for families. This is for, you know, people in the area that are just interested to find out, you know, what's out there and what they can do for an afternoon or, you know, whatever. So these are, you know, we'd like it to be appealing for that kind of thing, picnic spots, you know, family friendly, you know, kind of things like that. It's not necessarily, you know, people that are traveling distances. It's more getting to know our community and what we have to offer.
Good.
Know what's in
Okay.
our backyard.
Great.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Good. Thank you. All right. So that is your project, everyone. Hopefully within the next week or two, if you can fit that in your schedule, that'd be great.
The weather's perfect.
Yeah, remember, you don't have to do it yet. What you're doing is just identifying what you're doing and sending it to Judy. And then they are gonna make contact with you to then go forward. So it's more like you buy yourself some time, but you do need to identify your project.
Yeah, but this is something that we want to get done this month, you know.
Okay.
The goal is to get it done before our next meeting so that we have something to show.
Okay, that's 4 weeks. So that's good. Everybody, okay. No one is allowed a 4-week vacation. We'll give you 1 week off, possibly 2, but you are not allowed 4 weeks off. You have work to do. All right.
And Lynn and those folks that live in the borough, concentrate on the borough because we've got a lot there to cover.
Okay.
And like I said, there's certain areas like we just want to get a film of, you know, what the Sharrows are all about, what some of the trails are in town that are on the road, the characters.
It's great.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. So then just want to give, does anyone have any other business to talk about? I have a little something I'd like to add, but anything, anyone else have anything? Just this is newsy that the Criterion bike race that usually goes around the art festival was in danger of being canceled this year because of the pandemic and costs. A lot, you know, a lot of the businesses that we rely on chose not to do it this year. And so the Criterion almost did not go forward. So we are keeping it going this year. It's going to be, we're afraid to lose it, frankly, because they're international riders. You know how that is. If you break up, if you don't have it, you kind of lose it. So if anyone has any companies that might be interested in sponsoring anything, $1,000, you know, there is going to be a GoFundMe site. So pay attention for that as well. But we are going to keep the Criterion going, and it'll be a more, you know, I don't know. Well, it's not going to have the big tents that it did before, only one big tent. And we're going to take advantage of the corner on the courthouse and make it a little more family friendly events there, maybe some bean toss and things like that going on. So it's going to be changed up a bit, but we do need some help with money. And so if anybody has any good ideas for that, or keep an eye out for the GoFundMe. Then the final thing I want to say is that because of how well we're all doing with getting vaccinated and how the world has opened up a bit, or at least the United States is opening up, we're going to go back next month to kind of having a hybrid. So we're going to do Zoom as well as in person. So that will be your choice. I think the Zoom has added to our meetings. I think that we've gotten a huge amount of participation from those who didn't necessarily come in person to our meetings. So I'd like to continue offering the Zoom. And so Stephanie has told me there's a way to do it. And so we're going to try it next month. We're going to be in person and also doing Zoom. So you can make your choice. Okay. So thank you everybody for coming again. Enjoy this weather. It's been a nice combination of rain and sun. So everything's green. Take advantage of it, go for a walk, and keep an eye out for ticks. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Stephanie, I'm sending over this parcel data now for Cherry Lane and
Okay.
Pebble Hill. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Do you want me to CC anybody in particular for that section?
Yeah, I mean, you can see, I guess Roger and Judy, you know,
Roger and Judy. Okay.
and Tom, I think.
Tom.
You know, we need to, you know,